Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about recruiters. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, "Hi Frederick, thank you for being so engaged with your viewers." No worries. I'm happy that you enjoy my little hobby. I recently got promoted to the intermediate level after 9 months as a junior. How much longer will it take for me, assuming I stay the course, to become quote unquote literal human goal? I naively welcome the ego boost that is getting 30 emails from recruiters a day. How can I get there? Well, I'm assuming since you're quoting literal human goal that I said that at some point, and I stand by that because uh, I remember I was at a recruitment firm a few weeks ago. We were interviewing a few candidates, and the managers or like the HR people came up to us where we were grabbing coffee, and she asked us, "So, how does it feel being the rock stars of the job market?" And I just turned to her and I said, "It feels pretty good." And it's fun. And then we started talking. I said, like, it's kind of funny because I actually used to the juniors that we sort of like when I have talks with juniors about like their careers and so forth. I usually tell them that because they ask about it, and I kind of say that, well, this for most of us, this is the closest thing you're gonna get to becoming a rock star. But it's really, then we laugh about it, and I usually tell them, yes, it's nice to be in demand and stuff like that, but at the same time, you have to understand that it's not like all rainbows and unicorns. The code tests and like the onboarding processes and like all of this stuff, that is a hassle. What is fun though is when you get to a certain point of seniority, and if you have all the right things in place, like the IT is your playground basically. Apart from the code test, if they fixed the code test, it would be like just. I assume that is what heaven would feel like for nerds. But if you're asking me how to get there, and like 30 email, I'm assuming you're just throwing out a ballpark number there. I think that the most amount of recruitment emails I've gotten in a day is like, well, this is just me, so I'm guessing maybe other people get more, but like, I mean, a handful. I've never had 30. That's like, sounds like a lot. I might get 30 emails in a month or something like that in some case, depending on how crazy it gets. But if that's what you're asking about, so you sort of, then it's actually very simple. What you have to understand is the factors that make up the literal human goal fact. Like, what you have to understand the recruiters, what are they looking for? So the average recruiter, my friends, these are people who they're basically HR people. In a sense, usually they have a range of backgrounds. There is no official education or anything like that for becoming a recruiter. It's actually funny because a lot of the recruiters that I talked to in the past have been everything from product managers to salespeople to prior like programmers, etc., etc. I would say that recruiters are it's a range of people. The thing that is almost always true for all of them is that they don't really have any technical knowledge or anything like that. They're looking for specific criteria with the CVs that they are looking at, and almost all of them have already existing tools for that. In case you didn't think about that, LinkedIn, as an example, provide specialized accounts for recruiters, and there are many tools like it where they can do everything from searching for profiles, like how many years of experience, regions, and they can get tips on like when they should ping you for like reaching out, automatic emails, like mass emails, etc., etc. All kinds. There's an entire industry around categorizing people within the workforce and reaching out, helping you recruit them. It's big business, I can tell you that, especially in IT. So when you start to understand that, you start to understand the things, if you now want to be more attractive here, that you can do. And that basically becomes, do you know, you can almost think of it as hunting. If you want to find the game that you're hunting for, you have to understand the food that they are looking for, because if you can find their food, you find them. And for a recruiter, the number one thing that matters to them is that you have a CV on a platform that they can find fairly easily. An example is LinkedIn. You have to have a CV that is, or a social media presence or something like that. The more relevancy, it's almost in a sense, it's the same situation as for a company who wants to do really well on the score, like on the ranking on SEO or things like that. You have to have a presence or footprint on the internet. And so that's number one. Get yourself a CV, like a LinkedIn page or some other, like there are tons of these platforms, guys. Then you get discoverable, and I can tell you that that's not always a requirement. There are actually, I mean, I have coworkers who don't really have a LinkedIn profile or anything like that. They still get connected. No, God, like, I mean, I don't even want to know how they are getting found out. I'm assuming Facebook or some other platform is involved there somewhere, but they get connected to anyway, or like contacted. So that's number one. Make it convenient. Number two is that your CV has to reflect the thing that the recruiters are looking for. And here it's boringly the same thing I've said 100 times before. You have to have the right skills and as many years as possible, like a range of experience, ideally over one or like a few companies. These are the things that matter. Almost exclusively, nothing else matters. Recruiters, this is sort of where you have to understand, I've told you before, like personal products and stuff like that, that's always good. For the recruiters, this almost never matters. Almost never. They are about looking for, as I said, like they are, you can almost think of them as fishermen. They are throwing out webs, like nets, trying to grab in as many people as possible into their pipeline, and they have no technical knowledge. They won't look at, most of them will not look at your personal projects. They won't look at your LinkedIn, like your GitHub accounts, or how active you are on Stack Overflow, etc. So none of that is most likely going to happen unless it's like a specific company. And what usually happens is that those sorts of evaluations might happen later, and it's not a given. It's just some people who are going through people's CV might look at that, but for the average, it's always going to be, do you on your LinkedIn account list the right technologies? So make sure that you have the right keywords on your skills, and make sure that you have like made a nice CV with like you have actually put like your jobs and like add like descriptions that are meaningful, because remember guys, it's a search that they're doing, and that means that keyword analysis and so forth is in play, which means that if you actually create a description where you hit the different marks for software engineer in different roles and so forth, senior developer, junior developer, etc., it becomes easier for them to index, like for these platforms to index your profile, which makes you more discoverable to the recruiter, and then they're going to reach out to you based on those criteria usually. And there's very little else that you can do apart from, I mean, you can go like really, really far. Here's a side tip that I can give you. This is something that might work as well. If you are really hell-bent on maximizing your connections and with recruiters and stuff like that, then that is to, if you're going to do personal projects, don't make technical articles and stuff like that. Go on Tech Talks, record your Tech Talks, and put them as like things on your CV, like showing where you do a presentation or stuff like that, because remember, these are non-technical people. In other words, you can't make technical content and think that they are going to understand the value of that, but what they will understand is the same thing as a CEO might understand. They will understand an infomercial selling you, or like promoting yourself or things like that. That's something you can do. But I also raise my finger a little bit here and warn you, guys, just because you have a lot of recruiters, this might be good for your ego, but at some point you'll also have to understand that it's like they will not stop. And once you're on those lists, it's sort of like being on the phone company's list, right? They're just going to call you like continuously over and over and over. Doesn't matter if you say no to, I mean, I even got to the point where I'm not even replying anymore. it's pointless. You can, because most of this stuff is automated. So what you're asking for, I understand it's an ego boost for some, but you're basically asking me, how can I get onto an automated, in many cases, an automated systems list so that they spam me until I comply. And it's great if you can filter out all that stuff while you're not looking for a job. It's when you're not looking for a job, it's not super fun all the time, but it's great to have that when you actually do look for a job. So what I want you to take away from this is that if you want to get to be quote unquote human gold, there are only two ways you can do it. One is make sure that you have the right skills, and make sure that you have the years of experience. These are the only two things that matter to 99% of the people out there, and then make yourself discoverable. The girls have an extra trump card, because if you are a woman on top of all this, then I can't categorize that. The value that you will have is, well, it's beyond the, but you can, I don't think that there is there's not a measurement unit of how valuable you would be. If the average male software developer is human gold when they're a senior with the right skills, the equivalent on a female is like, as I've said before, that's like finding a unicorn with a brown eye and a blue eye. I'm assuming that you will definitely, that's what I'm trying to say, you will definitely have the highest levels of relevancy for practically every IT company on the planet, because we are so scarce on female developers that are at those sort of skills levels. You still have to, of course, be able to do the work and all that stuff, but you have a very high value. But on average, most of what it comes down to is, number one, have a CV that is discoverable with good keywords, etc., etc. Put some effort into it. Number two, make sure that you have the right skills that are relevant. And then number three, make sure that you have the years of experience. You should start seeing some very serious, annoying amounts of emails coming your way. At the very least, it starts between 1 or 5 years. The closer you get to 5 years, the more annoying it gets. And when you get to be like, 8 to 10 years, it's sort of at the point where, like, guys, I don't think most of the people who work in software development at that stage of their career even thinks about what they would do if they lost their job or things like that, because like, you can literally get a job the same day if you wanted to. Have a great day.